from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for January 2023. So on Wednesday, January 18th, we have Mercury finally going direct. So let's rewind and kind of explore what Mercury's journey has been about. Of course, Mercury moved into Capricorn energy, the manifester of the zodiac, long-term goals. Of course, it is a earth energy, so we're thinking about logical, practical, real world type of things, and really examining where it is that foundations were dissolving, where new foundations need to be built, of course, in order to support us with our long-term goals. We entered into the pre-retrograde zone on December 12th, and of course, it wasn't until December 29th that Mercury actually went retrograde, taking place at 24 degrees Capricorn energy, of course, 21 minutes. So we have gone through this retrograde. We have come into a brand new year. We have shifted spiritual life lessons because of that year shift. We have had a lot of energy thrown at us. Of course, Mars just went direct last week at 8 degrees, and we are going direct with Mercury's energy at 8 degrees in Capricorn. So what does this mean? Well, first of all, the retrograde had us looking back, had us reflecting, revisiting some things. And of course, Capricorn energy is very karmic in nature, so it may not have been even this particular incarnation that we were reflecting upon. Karmically speaking, we had to wrap up, tie up some loose ends from some very specific chapters that we are looking to close around this time. And then we reached the kind of halfway point in Mercury's retrograde where all of the focus isn't so much on the past. We're kind of plucking out bits and pieces of these aha moments from looking back and reflecting, and we start kind of positioning ourselves to be looking forward. Now, Mercury going direct means that we're going to start making a lot of sense out of a lot of the things that have happened to us. Yes, since Mercury went retrograde, but even more than that, over the last 2 or so years. Now, it can go even further than that because Capricorn energy is very karmic in nature and again, doesn't necessarily rule this particular incarnation. So we have to really kind of understand that there are fragments of our unconscious selves, of our soul selves that are being kind of, I'm going to say, awakened. Having those particular parts realized, actualized, resurfaced, acknowledged, integrated, so we can let them go. We're going through a defragging situation in our soul space right now because, again, we are wrapping up a karmic chapter. We are preparing to move forward. We are preparing to jump into new storylines, timelines, soul contracts, which means that we have to kind of clear out the gunk. And Mercury, being the ruler of the lower level intellect, the part of our intellect that our ego selves tend to be more in control of, we have a lot of defragging to go through before we essentially have a clean slate to work with. The fact that Mars, who rules over our physical energy, our passions, our desires, our inspirations, our motivations, even our anger, just went direct a week ago in Gemini energy that Mercury rules over, at 8 degrees and 8 minutes, the exact same degree that Mercury is now going direct in, suggests highly that we are really getting in tune with our vision, with our dreams, with our path moving forward. And we are gaining insight, we are gaining clarity, as confusing as it may feel right now. There are pieces in our unconscious selves being snapped together that will kind of lead us to these aha moments and epiphanies. And we will have the energy, the drive, the motivation, the determination to actually act on some of these realizations because Mars is in a forward moving direction. Now, we have to understand that Mercury being in Capricorn energy, first of all, our communication styles are going to be very matter of fact, very to the point. And while Mercury was retrograde, we were kind of stunted out on really kind of speaking on the things that we wanted to speak on, because we're very introverted, we're very kind of reflective, we're trying to piece things together, we're trying to articulate within ourselves what this means for us, how this impacts us, how this changes our perception, our understanding, our basic path moving forward. We're having a hard time piecing it all together. But now that Mercury is going to go direct, and keep in mind that we're still in the retrograde, the post-retrograde zone until about February 7th, we are going to slowly but surely start speaking on some of the things that are very important for us to get out of our physical bodies. And a lot of this is connected to the dreams that we had to watch kind of be shattered and dismantled and destroyed, where this is happening, I'm going to say, to us instead of for us in a lot of ways, because our ego selves would have never chosen the higher path, the higher mind, if you will, without kind of having our world shook in a way that removes a lot of the direction, a lot of the goals, a lot of the dreams, a lot of the objectives that our ego self once had. And so, you hear me say all the time, this isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. Well, that is true, but sometimes things have to happen to us in order to totally derail us and push us on a path that our ego selves wouldn't have otherwise chosen. So Mercury, kind of ruler of communication, we're going to start speaking on some things that we have been very tight-lipped about, especially where power struggles are concerned and are going to continue to be, I'm going to say, reconciled over this year, seeing that we are in a year of 7, we are in a year of relationships, finding peace, finding balance, finding harmony within those relationships. We're going to be speaking upon a lot. Now, Mercury rules over the mental plane, our perception, our understanding, our perspective has totally changed, has totally been altered due to information that has come forth that likely kind of felt like a bitch slap of reality, that is essentially changing the course of the path that we thought that we were going to be initiating, that we thought we were going to be walking. Now, just keep in mind that, Capricorn energy is like the boss of the zodiac. It's ruled over by Saturn, right? Saturn's the lord of karma, essentially the god of this world, creating the matrix, the restrictions, the limitations in our 3D realm that many of us get caught up on. Mercury being, I'm going to say, the collector of information and details, the messenger between our unconscious and conscious realms, definitely putting some pieces together through this particular retrograde that had a lot of things popping off. And of course, in a retrograde, we're all in a state of confusion. I essentially describe retrogrades as the planet kind of being drunk or on drugs, right? You move into that unconscious state where everything is very dreamlike. Nothing really makes sense. You're coming out of a retrograde. This planet is sobering up, but it's very disorienting to kind of, feel the drugs, feel the alcohol, feel that substance wear off, and to find yourself moving from the unconscious realm of confusion into the conscious realm of awareness, where you're trying to piece together what has happened, what we've been faced with, what this means for us. And it's very, disorienting, especially the first week-ish of a planet coming out of a retrograde going direct. It takes us some time to find our bearings, takes us some time to piece things together. It definitely is going to take some time to kind of see what needed to fall apart, what needed to crumble, what needed to be destroyed and dismantled as far as our long-term objectives go, as far as some power struggles in our relationships go, in order to actually move forward in a different path that, again, we wouldn't have otherwise chosen for ourselves. So, Mercury being retrograde has definitely set the tone, clean the slate, so to speak, for what we are going to be building upon as we move throughout this year. If you listen to the 2023 energy forecast, you would know that all of our Mercury retrogrades this year are taking place in Earth signs, which is a little bit indicative that we're going to have a lot of our physical realm needing to be redone and reworked and re-edited and revised and recalibrated and realigned And it is definitely going to be a slow process throughout this year when gifted with these Mercury retrogrades to kind of tweak our plans, our thinking. And many of us have a different, I'm going to say, belief system about ourselves, about the world around us, the people around us, about the path forward than we had coming into December. And a lot of that is because of the unconscious puzzle pieces being snapped together that we're not fully aware of as of yet, that we will start seeing, materialize, and those connections being, I'm going to say, manifested right in front of us. So when we're talking about Capricorn energy, we're, generally speaking, we're talking about career matters. We're talking about business matters. We're talking about finances and reputation and status. But what we're really talking about is the karmic path that is going to help us kind of focus on our soul's evolution in those particular areas. And, we are going to see a little bit more of a forceful, direct communication style take place in all of us as Mercury kind of wakes up and is able to articulate our thoughts and our feelings, our perception, our perspective, our views on some of the topics and themes that had us a little bit tight-lipped and quiet over the last couple of weeks. We are going to find a lot of new ideas, new aha moments, kind of, be initiated and come to life in our mental planes that we are essentially going to bring to life with Mars's energy backing us to do so. And all of these ideas are going to be long-term, I'm going to say, foundations that are needed in order for us to build the dreams, the projects, the goals, the ideas that we are essentially bringing to life at this particular time. So it is going to take us a little bit of time to catch up. And by the time that Mercury reaches that 24th degree that it originally went retrograde in, which will happen on February 7th, we will be free and clear of this, I'm going to say, mix mash of energies, mix mash of timelines, mix mash of karmic chapters, and we will be in the free and clear to actually move forward. And if you've been listening to my other forecasts, you would know that we are gifted a very small window of opportunity, a forward motion where we can make a lot of progress and see a lot of productivity take place, making up for lost time, quote unquote. We are exactly where you need to be, so we're not behind. It's just an illusion that, takes place in our egoic form. But we are also going to be in a time after the 22nd of January where we're not going to have any planets in a retrograde. And this is going to support us in, digging in and making some good headway from now until about April. And, there is going to be this sudden burst of energy in our mental plane, in our physical energy as well, to go ahead and take action on the ideas that we're actually inspired to pursue. Again, Mars and Mercury working in tandem in order to bring to life some of the visuals, the dreams, the goals that have been inspired and planted in our mind space through this particular retrograde. We're going to have the energy and the action to do that. On the 22nd, when Uranus goes direct, we're going to have that forward momentum, that forward action, that sudden shift of events. We're going to have some wild card energy thrown at us and really accelerate this particular forward moving opportunity to make some progress. And yes, there's going to be this burst of energy. It is going to fizzle out for a bit. We're going to see that, I'm going to say, revival of energy as we enter into March. And essentially speaking, we are going to be paving the way on this brand new path, on this brand new direction that many of us are very anxiously and eagerly awaiting clarity on, that will be day by day piecing together the bigger, broader picture on what it is that we need to be focused on, what it is that we need to be doing as Mercury kind of gains his consciousness back, his awareness back, his bearings back. And, it's definitely a shift. We have a lot of, I'm going to say, restlessness to kind of hurry this process up. A lot of that is because Mars is rearing to go, ready to take action and make some moves on whatever genius points of inspiration and ideas we are coming up with now that Mercury is kind of clear of the fogginess, of the confusion, if you will, that the retrograde energy kind of brings upon us. And just keep in mind, that, Mercury retrogrades are essential in order to turn the egoic intellect down, in order to allow the higher self and our intuition to kind of navigate and lead us through a very interesting closure / beginning of a karmic chapter. And, in Capricorn energy, that's what we're doing here. We are closing doors, and in some cases we are nailing that sucker shut, and we are preparing for a brand new chapter, especially seeing as we dip into Aquarius season just hours after Mercury goes direct. And even more than that, we have a new moon in Aquarius taking place at a very beginning degree that suggests a brand new karmic chapter is being initiated just hours after the sun moves into Aquarius. And then we have Uranus, the great awakener, going direct in Taurus energy just hours after that new moon. So you best believe that there's going to be a jolt of energy, a lot of pressure in the head, a lot of want, need, and desire to kind of get our shit together, to put our ducks in a row, to start kind of making moves and taking action on not only cleaning up the elements of the past, but preparing these new elements, these cornerstone foundational elements that our future is about to be built on.